Welcome back, and today Brad and myself are going to talk about the struggles of MMA. We're going to talk about weight cuts, injuries, finances, everything you need to know that may put you off pursuing MMA as a sport. So today, guys, the main thing is that we need to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. You know, it's very easy for us to say all of the things that go well in the sport, but there's things that also don't do well in the sport. And the first thing that I'm going to talk about is injuries. There are so many injuries in this sport that can be career ending. And if you don't have something to fall back on, that's it. That is your job over. The main thing that I think we should talk about injury-wise is the knee injuries. You've seen Dominic Cruz, who was riddled with knee injuries. I think it was ACL, MCL, and was constantly out for years. Now, one of the biggest struggles in MMA, Brad is obviously showing his knee, is if you don't compete, you don't get paid.
See that? You feel that?
That's his like party trick. The amount of times I've seen that knee. And the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got no ACL on this one. I watched my ACL actually playing football. As in, like, for me, going back to what I was saying, is injuries in any sports is a physical sport. You're gonna get injured, you know. Even like cricket, tennis, there's injuries in sports. Of course, there's a lot more visual injuries in MMA because a lot of people.
What do you mean? I look fine.
No, well, you sure?
Yeah, good looking lad, isn't I?
Cauliflower face, but it's like there's a lot of visual injuries where people see blood, cuts, and stuff like that, and blood. Oh, someone's. So for me, those injuries are so superficial and get healed quick. People like even like a nose like mine, even though broke my nose playing basketball, different story altogether. But like get bad nose breaks, they're superficial, cosmetic, and stuff like that. It's the injuries where you're tearing muscles and stuff like that. And they can happen in all sports. Like I say, for me, I actually had my worst injuries playing football than I did doing MMA. But doesn't mean you can't get them. As you talked about, Dominic Cruz riddled with injuries. And yet again, sometimes that's to do with some people. Some people are prone to injury, you know, and that could be down to sometimes not they have a good genetics or good or good nutrition and so on and so forth. These are definitely the risks. You're going to have doing any sport, but especially there's a lot of risks in our sport for me because the training is so hard. It's such a hard training regime we do to become an MMA fighter. It's very taxing on our bodies.
And of course, in MMA, if you can't fight because you are injured, there is no money.
Yeah.
In football, you got a knee injury, sit on the sideline, mate, you know, we'll give you a little bit of money, you're covered.
You're paid by a wage.
Or you get paid so much that it doesn't really matter. In MMA, especially coming up to the UFC, there is no money. Even when you get to the UFC, you're not on life-changing money. You know, you need to work your way up through the UFC rankings. So, in the sport that we're in, the first struggle that I would say is, guys, with injuries, you don't have time to sit out. You will not get paid. So, look after yourself. If you're going to get into this sport, you need to protect yourself at all times, even out of the fights. You need to make sure that you aren't doing silly things like I did, get on a motorbike, snap your arm.
Who told you not to do that, by the way?
Lots of people. So guys, there's your story. I got a motocross bike. I thought this is the life.
Wait, did I say, what are you doing? Don't do that. I'll be fine.
Yes, Dad. Yes.
I said, do not put yourself in jeopardy.
Injured myself. Fortunately, it was just an arm break. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been my spine. It could have been my neck. It could have killed me, for all I know. Exactly. Yeah. So, that was my lesson learnt. It was a tough one, but I was out for about 6 to 8 months maybe. And I remembered thinking, oh, I'm not getting paid. And that's what sucked. Very fortunately, I had some good sponsors behind me that still stuck with me. I did send them an apology message and said, mate, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be fighting for almost a year because of this injury. Luckily, they were all supportive and I still had enough money to pay my bills. But, you know, if I had a lot of expenses coming out and I'm not fighting, I'm not getting paid. So the main thing I would say with our first struggle in MMA is got to protect yourself, otherwise you don't get paid.
There's a lot of, there's shows that will cover you medically when you're not fighting, like the UFC does. But there's quite a few shows that will cover you medically while you're fighting in that fight. But then also there's a lot of shows that don't. don't cover you. But this is why sometimes there's an advantage. Luckily for us, we have NHS, which is free healthcare in the UK. No matter what your views are on it, it is free and it is there for you to use at your disposal. If you're in America and you're getting injured, you're not getting covered. Even training, you know, you don't get covered unless you're in the high echelon of the sport, you know. So
well, this brings me on to my next struggle. Moving up in the ranks, shows like Cage Warriors, you have to cover your own medical expenses. We have guys who are fighting on Cage Warriors and they have to cover their brain scan costs. And guys, I don't know what it's like in America. In the UK, it's expensive. We've got guys that are paying to fight. Okay, now I'm not saying that that's Cage Warriors' problem. It's something that you have to learn in the sport. If you want to make it a career path, you might have to pay to fight. We actually had a lad, I'm not gonna say his name because he might not wanna know. Brad had to cover his brain scan cost. And then after his fight, he had to pay Brad back because he didn't have the money to get the brain scan. And the show, they wanted brain scan results. If that brain scan result came up that said there was something that meant he couldn't fight, he's not getting paid to fight. He now owes Brad money, not that Brad's going to chase him up for it. And he's just been told that he may not be able to fight. There are fighters that have been told medically they can never fight again. I think Paddy Houlihan in the UFC.
you had one where your brain scan.
I had one when my brain scan came back. There was an abnormality. So I couldn't fight. This was Cage Warriors against Ron Lee. I was sitting there thinking, like, what's going on? Am I going to die? Like, you know, what is this?
Especially with your OCD. Yeah.
Fight got cancelled literally the day before. Long story short, everything eventually came back fine. It was all okay, and we got the fight rebooked, and I beat him in 2 rounds, and that was at the Echo Arena in Liverpool. If you want to look on YouTube, it's quite a good one. And here we are now. So just be wary, guys. Injuries, they're a pain in the arse, and finances, you're going to be broke if you want to make it in this sport. I think the third struggle that I'm going to say is the pressure that it puts on family members. Now, I'm very fortunate that my dad is one of my coaches. He's into martial arts. My mum's very supportive, and she said, if you're pursuing your dreams, I'm happy for you. And my wife, who met me when I was already a fighter, is happy and knows how hard I train. However, the impact it can have, guys, is 1, weight cuts. My wife, when I was cutting down to bantamweight, had to put up with me being a horrible little man for about 6 weeks every fight camp. I couldn't have nice dinners. We was always eating separate because we weren't having the same meals. And it can take its toll. I know there's a lot of people out there that partners maybe really struggle. As I say, I'm very fortunate that mine are very supportive. I know Brad used to travel to American Top Team for about 8 weeks every fight camp. His wife didn't get to see him unless she visited you.
Yeah, no, for me, that was a struggle. But yeah, my wife, obviously having that sort of relationship, there has to be a lot of trust within that relationship. If you don't have a trust with your relationship, you're not going to be able to travel. Yeah. So that's a different story.
Even just not seeing your wife and kids for 8 weeks.
Yeah, but the thing, this is pointing me as well. I did travel a lot, so I put off having kids for a long time. You know, like not saying that you can't be a good fighter and have kids. Be an example. You know, like for me, sometimes being a fighter, you have to be very selfish. It's all about you. Being a good dad, it's not. It's about your child and stuff like that. So for me, I wanted to put everything into fighting. I traveled a lot to fight. And not that I couldn't have a kid back home while I was traveling. I just don't want to miss out on the little things in life or the walking, the talk. Yeah, I want to be present as the dad. You know, that's me. If I was training at home all the time, it would be different. It'd be easy. You go home today and you see your daughter. You know, like if you was away for 8 weeks, it'll be a lot tougher for you. So I put off having kids to the end of my career, till I was about 36, 37, and then I had Buddy and stuff like that.
So maybe we should call this video the sacrifices and not the struggles, because you do have to make sacrifices in this sport.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah, sacrifices is struggles as well, yeah.
And there you have it. Those are just a few of the struggles that we face in MMA, pursuing it as a sport or as a career path, if you like. There are many sacrifices, guys, lots that we probably haven't even mentioned. So if you do have any that you think we should talk about in a next video, please leave in the comments. And until next time, peace.